blast of war blows in your ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with a hard favored rage.
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Here we come. It's a man's game now.
Are you afraid?
Has issued a tornado warning for.
The final countdown has begun. Welcome, everyone, to the third and final part of the Penalty Box's F3 summer shows. The next couple of hours is guaranteed to be a little wild and wacky. I'm Boomer Sabata, and I'm joined with the other Sabata brother, Ryan Sabata. How you doing on this fine evening, Ryan?
I'm sweaty.
You're sweaty?
Yeah.
You're sweaty. That heat will get you. It's a little humid today.
A little? What do you mean?
I haven't been
it's like
out.
100 degrees and it rained this morning.
I haven't been outside since like 2 o'clock, so. Yeah.
Well, it's hot.
All right, well, we begin the final installment of these shows like we always do with Swipe Left or Right. I'm going to name state of fact that has happened this past week in the sports world, and we're going to swipe left if we agree with it, or swipe right if we disagree, or if we agree with it. Yeah, left if we disagree, right if we agree. Reference to farmersonly.com. Swipe left or right. Digital petition to keep Ohio State coach Urban Meyer from being fired, having over 23,000 signatures. Swipe left or right on that one?
Well, it all depends on what they find in the investigation, I guess. Based on what we know, he could or couldn't have reported the incident to the higher-ups. We just don't know the facts at this point. If he did, in fact, do what he was supposed to do, then these petitions are valid. But if they... if the allegations are true and he didn't tell anyone, then looks a little foolish on the end of the protesters or petitioners.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to win. They're just fans who they saw what happened when Jim Tressel and all that scandalous stuff happened in the past. What happened when Tressel left and Luke Fickell took over and the program kind of tanked. And then Urban Meyer came and revived it. So I think that's all the fans really want is to win.
Yeah.
And they want to stick with the guy who's gotten them there before.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's a sticky situation. I think we have to wait just a little bit longer to see what kind of details come out. But right now, I mean, it's tough for Ohio State because I don't know the whole story again. But I mean, especially with the way domestic violence is being viewed correctly, of course, it's being viewed very, very, very negatively now, especially in football and especially in sports, which, yeah, of course, it should be. I mean, if it was Lincoln Riley, I probably wouldn't sign a petition, but I can kind of see why it has 23,000 signatures. I'm not going to argue whether or not he should be fired because I don't know all the information yet, but it is surprising that there are 23,000 Ohio State fans out there that are wanting him to stay. So we'll see where that goes. It'll be an interesting saga for Big Ten football. What do you think John Harbaugh's doing right now? Or Jim Harbaugh, I should say. John Harbaugh's enjoying his time with the Ravens. Jim Harbaugh, what do you think he's doing?
They're probably at practice.
You don't think that he's kind of looking at the ESPN to kind of see what? Oh, come on.
Nah, Jim Harbaugh's more concerned about what's going on in Michigan.
All right.
He's got his own problems to deal with.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, number 2 for swipe left or right. The possibility of the Yankees catching up to the Red Sox for the AL East pennant.
I'm swiping right.
Swipe, really?
Yeah.
Really?
They're 9 games back. We got over 40 games left to play. This is a Yankees team that is stacked. It is injured at the moment with Judge and Sanchez out. Yeah, they did just get swept by the Red Sox. That hurts a little. But, once you get healthier, once these pitchers hopefully get into postseason form, the gears will start to turn. Boston has to help us out a little bit and lose some games. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I could totally see the Yankees making a comeback in the
What's the lyric? The main lyric for Mr. McMahon's intro song?
I don't think I need to say it.
It's no chance in hell. That's what I think the Yankees have to catch up to the Red Sox, because it's not like the Red Sox aren't stacked themselves. I mean, look at the way that they're playing now. I don't know what their record is now.
It's 80-34.
80-34. They're on pace to win the most games that they ever have in franchise history. I think it's too little too late for the Yankees, if you ask me. And I know something about losing.
The Yankees don't need to win the division, though. I mean, they made it to the ALCS Game 7 last year as the wild card
catch up to the Red Sox for the AL East pennant.
Catch up? And you're talking about the pennant. I'm talking about the division.
Well, yeah, I'm talking...
Catch up for the AL pennant?
The AL East pennant.
Oh,
the AL East, the championship.
The division.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yankees don't need to win the division.
Then what are you swiping right for?
Because I think they can.
I'm
saying they don't need to win it in order to be successful in the playoffs.
Oh, okay. All right. But yeah, I think the Yankees don't have a chance to catch up to the Red Sox. But given our last two MLB playoff predictions on the past two shows, it didn't really matter. We had them in the wild card, and we had them advancing to the World Series. We're not doing MLB playoff predictions this week because it would be much of the same since we did one last week.
Yeah.
All right, swipe left or right. Number 3, former Panthers wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin calling out Cam Newton.
I'm going to swipe left. It just doesn't look good for anyone involved. It doesn't look good for Carolina. It makes them look like a bad organization to play for. It doesn't look good for Kelvin Benjamin. It makes him look like he's stirring the pot in places where he hasn't played a few games in. And, I mean, it doesn't look good for Cam because, I mean, technically what he said was true. He's not an accurate quarterback, Cam Newton. And he doesn't have the same football IQ as, say, a Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers do. So what he said was true. The way he said it and the timing of it, probably not ideal.
I mean, here's the thing. I think it's unfair what Kelvin Benjamin said. I mean, not the fact that, he was inaccurate, but kind of making it seem like it wasn't Kelvin Benjamin's fault at all. You remember, was it last season or 2 seasons ago, where he showed up to camp, he was 285 pounds?
Cam?
No, Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh, I didn't know he was.
Yeah, he showed up to off-season practice, to training camp at 285 pounds. I don't know how many pounds overweight that is for him. But it's kind of hard to be an accurate quarterback when you have somebody like that running down the sidelines, at least trying to run down the sidelines at least. I mean, I just think it's unfair. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin has no room to talk. I mean, if you think Cam Newton's not that accurate, then make him accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why he was drafted by the Panthers.
Yeah.
He's a wide-framed guy who can get the ball in.
But he wasn't able to do
range.
that. He wasn't able to do that.
Because of injuries and...
Okay, well, still, he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't able to be the weapon that they wanted him to be for Cam Newton. And something that's Cam Newton's fault? Cam Newton won a Super Bowl without him.
It's true.
It is true. It's damn
Wait,
true.
Who?
Or Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl without him. Excuse me.
Jesus.
Sorry. He went to a Super Bowl without him. Sorry. So, I think it was just uncalled for. It's just one of those things. I mean, what do you have to benefit from it? It's kind of like the Des Bryant thing. Like, yeah, it's funny. It's entertaining. His was entertaining. This wasn't. But it's just, there's no point. I mean, nobody was critiquing this sort of stat. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin, who's he playing for now?
The Bills.
The Bills. Okay, so he's employed. He's not trying to make a case for himself like Des Bryant is as a free agent. He's playing for a different NFL team. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I knew. I saw that coming. All right. So, anything else for swipe left or right? Any other comments, concerns, recommendations?
No, it was a pretty slow week.
Yeah, it was pretty slow, but it was interesting nonetheless. MLB talk. Do you have any advice for baseball fans during the dog days of the season, dreaded August, where losers know they're going to lose and winners kind of know they're going to win? So.
Yeah, it's just going to be a lot of bad baseball, especially from, the Mets and teams like that.
Of course. I know that. You know that.
So all the teams that are competing are going to put out the best teams they have, getting them in postseason form, and the teams that are losing are going to call up their young ones. So just prepare for quadruple A baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the people who watch it now is for the love of the game. They're not, like for me, I watched the Mets game today. I didn't care if they won or lost. I just wanted to watch some baseball. And I think it goes with almost every team that's definitely out of playoff contention. And for teams, I mean, what would you say? I mean, the Yankees have a pretty surefire shot of making it to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say to somebody who's a fan of a winning team? Because I know all about losing. You sort of know stuff about winning. Is it entertaining just to watch your team keep winning, even though you know that you have a shot at the playoffs already?
No, for teams that are, that have World Series on their minds, it doesn't. It's waiting until October shows up.
All right, yeah. I mean, just write it out. Especially if you're a fan of a bad team. Royals fans, there are a lot in attendance for the.
That's 5 years of.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a while.
Baseball.
Yeah, it'll be a while. But there are a lot of fans at the Royals Cubs games. But then I realized they were mostly Cubs fans. Couldn't get those Wrigley Field tickets. Just a little bit too pricey, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's go to Kaufman.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, MLB.com published an article predicting who will be on the same team that they are right now in 2025, and they have Mike Trout still playing for the Angels. Do you agree with this?
No, I don't think so. The Angels just now, this season, tried to turn it around and get into the playoffs, fight for a wild card spot, and it failed. They brought in Kinsler and Cozart and re-signed Justin Upton, and they just can't seem to win. So I think eventually they're going to realize that they're not going to win with Mike Trout. They can trade him or just let his contract expire and try and start fresh. I think Mike Trout will eventually play on the East Coast, whether that be Philadelphia or other teams up there. A small market maybe like Baltimore. But yeah, it's like Bryce Harper. No one really saw him being a national his whole career. Same with Mike Trout. I never see him being an Angel his whole career.
Mike Trout's the best baseball player in the game, but he's probably one of the most unluckiest players in the game because he's had Albert Pujols with him for a while. They try to build this team around Mike Trout like they tried to this year. It just doesn't work. Is it the fact that their pitching staff isn't quite up to code for their division, or what's the main issue that has faced the Angels so far in Mike Trout's tenure with the team?
Well, they haven't really been able to get a consistent rotation. They've had Garrett Richards, who is every year getting put on the 60-day deal at least once. They have Andrew Haney, who was a big prospect, supposed to be really good in Florida. They gave him a second chance in L.A. He's not terrible, but, he's not an ace. Tyler Skaggs is hurt now, and they're just working with a bunch of no-name quadruple A starters, and they have for years. So, unless they start drafting some real good pitchers out of the draft or signing some international amateurs, this team doesn't seem to be changing much.
Yeah. Where do I have him going to the Phillies once his contract's up. He's from Philadelphia. I have him going to the Phillies.
Yeah, that seems like the most logical option.
Okay, good stuff.
But that's
not good stuff.
Future.
Not good stuff for Mets fans. But then again, we have plenty more to worry about. MLB Power Rankings. Who do you have at your number 5?
We got the Chicago Cubs.
The Cubs at number 5. Okay.
Yeah. They got Cole Hamels at the deadline. Their pitching staff looks really good. Come playoff time, Hendricks, Lester, Hamels, Montgomery, and then Darvish when he gets back. That's a pretty good 5-pitcher rotation to head into the playoffs with.
Yeah.
Their hitting is still the Cubs' offense. Chris Bryant's really the only position player hurt right now. The rest of the team is out and playing. So I got the Cubs 5.
I've got the New York Yankees at number 5, just based on the sweep that they suffer from Boston. I have the Yankees at number 5. For now, this isn't final. This isn't the final power rankings for the season, but I'll have to put your Yankees at number 5 just because of the how was that, by the way? How was that sweep? It doesn't taste so good, does it?
No, I was busy working.
Oh, you're busy working. Of course you were. Who's your number 4 for the MLB Power Rankings?
Got the Los Angeles Dodgers.
All right, the LA Dodgers, number 4.
Got the best pitcher in baseball, Clayton Kershaw. Rotation again, that's pretty deep. As always, facing injuries. Stripling's hurt. A lot of their bullpen, we talked about that last week. Alex Wood. Once that bullpen and pitching staff comes back healthy, it's going to be a much more well-rounded team. You're getting contributions from guys like Max Muncy to go along with, the newly acquired Manny Machado and Brian Dozier. Yasiel Puig, Justin Turner, Grandal, Bellinger, Peterson. 1 through 9 and 1 through 5 in the rotation just looks like a World Series team to me.
I'm going with the Oakland A's at my number 4.
A's?
Yep, the A's. They won 6 straight games before last night. They lost to the Dodgers. I'm going to put the Oakland A's in just because they're playing hot. Remember, these aren't final power rankings. These are just for now.
These are power rankings of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, and I have the A's at number 4.
Best teams in baseball that you think can go far in the playoffs.
I think so. Yeah.
So you're saying an ALCS for Oakland?
I'm not saying ALCS, but I'm saying you put them, if you have the top 5 teams in the majors right now, you got to put the A's in there.
I don't have to. And I'll be honest, I didn't. So
logic
is
flawed. Why
flawed.
not? Why didn't you put it into the...
Because their pitching staff is made up of, they got Sean Manaea. He's really good. But the rest is, Edwin Jackson and Trevor Cahill. Brett Anderson.
They're 20 games above 500. So apparently they're doing something right.
Yeah, their offense is pretty good with the young guys, Olsen and Chapman.
See, I would think, out of all people who love Moneyball the movie, and you do,
yeah,
you would understand why I believe in the A's.
The A's were playoff team earlier this decade, and then they fooled everyone into believing they were a contender. When in all honesty, it was just a bunch of garbage players overperforming.
I think that they are a contender. I'm not saying that they're going to win the World Series, but I'm saying that they have a possibility of making it to the playoffs. They're 20 games above 500. The only reason they're not first in the AL West is because the Astros are ahead of them.
I'm not saying they're not a playoff team. I'm not saying they're not a playoff team, but they're certainly not the 4th best team in baseball.
I think they are the 4th.
They got Mark Canha playing both left and center, according to the depth chart.
They're getting it done.
2 center fielders.
They're putting
2 outfielders.
They're putting W's on the schedule, man. So I'm going to have to put them at number 4.
When Jed Lowry is your biggest offensive output, I can't put a whole lot of trust in that.
Hey, he's having a great season. They're 20 games above 500, man. That's all I got to say. It might be the only argument I have, but it's the only argument I need.
Okay.
They're getting it done. Somehow, some way. I wish I knew how.
You just overrated them a little.
I didn't overrate them. You're just mad because I put them ahead of the Yankees. If I put
that's absolutely true. How could you do that? Your World Series team you put at 5, but then you put Oakland at 4.
It's right now. Right now, you guys just got swept. You guys just got your butts handed to you by the Boston Red Sox. What did
and 4 games out of 162? And the regular season, which right now means nothing.
Recently, you guys got swept by the Red Sox. The A's won 6 straight games.
Okay, so you're just basically saying who did the best this week?
No, but
who did the best this week?
Good.
The A's did.
They're still doing good.
That's exactly what you're saying.
No, they're still 20 games above 500. If the Mets swept the Reds somehow,
is there
I'm not going to put them in the power rankings just because they swept the team.
Do you think Oakland can win a playoff series?
Depends on against who.
Not against anyone.
You know what?
They're going to either have to go into a playoff series.
It's not about who's
Boston, Houston.
This isn't postseason projections. This is right now. Who are the 5 best teams? I have the A's at number 4, and the only reason that you're debating me on this is because I put your beloved Yankees behind them.
No, that's not the only reason. It's your logic is flawed.
What? They're the 20 games above 500?
No. I told you. I didn't say they're not
and
a playoff
they just
team,
won
but
6
you're saying
straight
they're
games?
the 4th best team in baseball.
I think so.
And you're putting way too much emphasis on 6 games out of 162.
No, I'm putting a lot of emphasis.
4 games for the Yankees.
I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the fact that they're 20 games above 500 in the same division as the Astros and the Mariners. That's what I'm doing.
And also the Padres.
Okay, so
wait, no, I'm in the wrong division. Who else?
Rangers.
Rangers, yeah, that's a really good team. And L.A., an underperforming team. So
there's 2. The Astros elite. The
it's
Mariners
the best division
good baseball.
It's the best division in the American League.
Okay,
and
they're 20 games above 500 in it. Why aren't they in the top 5 for you?
For me?
It's because they don't have star players.
Because I don't trust them.
That's why.
Yeah, I don't trust them. At what point should I trust it?
Okay.
I respect the system, but it's got to prove itself to be worth something.
So far, it's worth something. We could talk about postseason projections until we're blue in the face.
It's not worth anything.
Right now, at this very moment, the Oakland A's are better than the Yankees. At this moment. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they can beat them in the postseason, because that's still about 2 months away from now.
That's a flawed logic.
That's not
a flawed
logic
of determining who are the best teams in baseball.
No, it's not.
I'm from now on. Your power ranking is who did the best last week.
No,
mine is who is the best team that's going to compete in the playoffs.
Because then I'd put the Reds in the power rankings because of the way that they're playing this entire second half. I'd put them in the power rankings, but I'm not because they're still dead last. The fact is, the A's are getting it done, and they've been getting it done all season. They haven't just all of a sudden struck fire, and this week or last week, they've been doing it all year. They've been turning heads all year.
Okay. It's a flawed logic.
No,
but
it's not a flawed logic. It's not. Who's your number 3?
Got the Yankees 3.
Okay.
I can't put them 1, even though I do think they will win the World Series. I got to see a little bit more out of the rotation before I'm more confident in that sentiment. Going to need to see, of course, Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez come back. Also, J. Happ is on the DL as well. Chance Adams got called up, which that's going to, thank God we got Sonny Gray out of the rotation. Hopefully, with the changes we made at the deadline, by adding Lance Lynn, J. Happ, and now bringing up Chance Adams, that'll kind of solidify the rotation and give us a little more consistency instead of having Sonny Gray go out there every 5th day and ruin our progress. But yeah, for right now, I got him 3.
Okay. Yeah, for all the people, before the baseball season started, we had fantasy baseball projections. I said that Sonny Gray was a diamond in the rough. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you took my word for it.
I said Michael Taylor.
I said that Sonny Gray would get the wins because he's playing for the Yankees, but...
No. You couldn't be doing any worse.
Wait a minute. All right, so my number 3 is the Houston Astros. I don't think I really have to... I mean, there's not a big debate about that one, is there?
You say the Astros 3?
Yeah, Astros 3.
No.
Yeah, okay. So that was easy. That was an easy transition. What about your number 2? Who's your second best team in baseball?
I have Houston at 2.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah, the rotation's filthy. It's got Verlander, Cole, Morton, and Keuchel. On their DL, they have Jose Altuve and Correa, but the rest of the field just takes the cake. Oh, and George Springer's also on the DL, and McCullers, and Brian McCann, and Chris Davinsky. So a lot of this team is injured, and they're still at 70 wins. Reigning World Series champions doesn't look like they've missed a beat, really. So I'm going to keep them at 2 because they're consistent.
Got the LA Dodgers at number 2, just because you talked about how stacked they are on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to put the Dodgers at number 2. Just simple. Top 3, hopefully there's not a whole lot of arguments. As much as our listeners will want to hear more from us. But, yeah, Dodgers my number 2. Who's your number 1 best team in baseball?
All right, and that's my answer.
It is with a heavy heart that I, a Yankees fan, have to say that the Red Sox are the best team in baseball. Is that what you're thinking?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, you're saying that there's no...
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
Don't speak their name.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything. That way, in the future, I can always look back and be like, I never actually said it.
You dare not speak their names, for it will say
it
will unleash an unforetold evil.
Yeah, the skies will turn black.
So, yeah, the Boston Red Sox, my number 1. On pace, I don't know if they're still on pace to win 113 games or if that's not the case anymore. But they're playing hot. They're on a roll right now. I watched a little bit of that final Game 4 in that series, but I didn't see the walk-off. But I saw the score, and I saw that you guys got swept, and I was like, man, it's funny when it happens to other people.
Yeah, and it's also funny when that other team has 30 more wins than you do.
That's not the point, but I get what you're saying. Speaking of mediocrity, the MLB Flower rankings. The top 5 worst teams right now. So who's your number 5 worst team in baseball? This is going to be fun. I did more research for this one than I did the power rankings.
Yeah, I did too. It's hard to find the worst teams. I got Detroit 5.
Okay.
Detroit is a skeleton, just a bunch of old guys and some above-average hitters. right now they have Cabrera and Fulmer on the DL, which, I mean, that doesn't help or hurt their chances at this point. The rest of the rotation consists of Francisco Liriano and Jordan Zimmerman, garbage. And they got a bunch of young guys playing, which for a rebuilding team is a promising look, but none of these players are top prospects who have shown the ability to be a star at the major league level. Nick Castellanos is probably the best player on the team, and that's really not saying a whole lot.
All right. Number 5 for my flower rankings, worst team in baseball. The Padres. They are 28th in runs, 29th in batting average and slugging percentage, and last in on-base plus slugging.
Yeah, but the Padres, the reason I didn't put them in my list is because they actually have young talent.
Yeah. I mean, I'll throw them a bone on that one. They do have young talent. The only reason that I didn't have them higher is because their pitching is, given how young they are and given how inexperienced they are, it's okay, especially for the division that they're in. So at least with the Padres, unlike some of these teams, there's a bright future for the Friars, which is good. You know, I haven't really lived to see the Padres contending. It's one of those. It's a rarity. It's like Pirates in the playoffs for a while. We're just like, wait, it's been how long?
I forgot I haven't seen that yet.
All right, number 4 for your MLB flower rankings.
I got the Marlins 4.
All right.
Pitching rotation is not good. They got a couple of young hitters, Justin Bohr, JT Realmuto, Brian Anderson showing up this year. So there's a couple bright stars. They've also got a few young guys in Lewis Brinson to hopefully carry them further. But there's still not enough of a core to where they can go anywhere. You're not going to get a whole lot out of trades for either of those guys that I mentioned. And it's just going to take years to rebuild through the draft because they just don't have any leverage in trades to where they can do a quick rebuild.
Yeah. Number 4 for my top 5 worst teams in baseball right now. Chicago White Sox. 29th in ERA, 26th in on-base plus slugging, and 28th in walks and hits per innings pitched. Not good. Those are rookie numbers.
That's another team though that in 5 years is going to be perennial playoff.
I guess so. I guess I didn't really think about that, but still, I'm just. It's one of those things, like I have to do it. I have to do it.
Suck and will keep sucking.
Okay. So we did this a little differently. I mean, determining who's the worst team in baseball, it's not as controversial as saying who's the best.
No.
It's just like, okay, let's just name a team.
They all suck.
Let's name a team and why they suck. White Sox, like the White Sox and Padres, I didn't really think about that with the White Sox. But with the Padres, young but still bad right now. So unfortunately for now. But long term, there's some hope for those two teams. Who's your number 3?
Number 3, I got the Mets.
Yeah, I got the Mets too at number 3.
Yeah, DeGrom and Syndergaard won't be pitching there at the end of 2019, probably, if even past the trade deadline next year. Outside of them, Ahmed Rosario hasn't shown much in terms of being a star and a top prospect in the game. Dominic Smith, who knows where he is. Their best prospects, Jimenez, he's a speed guy at shortstop, which is exactly what you have in Rosario. Mm-hmm. So he's blocked essentially, unless they want to move him to second and just have 2 guys who hit 240 and get 30 steals, which isn't very valuable today. And then the only real prospect who can come up and, maybe make a splash is Peter Alonso. And that's just because he's going to hit 5 home runs his first week and then bat 200 the rest of the year. It's just the team is, and I'm looking at who the core is now. Michael Conforto, underperforming. Mm-hmm. Wilmer Flores, not a star. Brandon Nimmo, he's a decent player, but he's not going to carry a team into the playoffs or anything like that either. So, just a bad team.
Yep. They're last in batting average, 26th in RBIs, and last in hits. The pitching hasn't been an issue. There are a few arms in the rotation in the bullpen that I could point fingers at, but it's been the offense. Jacob deGrom finally, I believe it's after 51 days, got another win. It's been 51 days since Jacob deGrom got his last win. And he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. His ERA is not even close. He's like 1.85 now. Might be less because he pitched a shutout. And the next one's like 2.2 or something like that. And he's only got 8 wins. So it's not necessarily the pitching. The pitching has let us down at times, but that's just how it goes for most of the season. But yeah, I mean, it's
injuries have hurt too.
It's happened so fast. Is the problem?
It was a sharp decline
at the beginning of the year. I was like, hey, maybe we can rally. You got to believe. Maybe we can make wild card. Boy, I wish I could go back in time and just say, hold on.
And now you got Jose Bautista playing right.
You thought the injury problems were bad last year. Yeah, it's one of those things. But I mean, the Mets are used to losing. I'm used to losing, so at least I'll be able to see some young talent for half a season and then never see them again. Given how in shambles our farm system is at the moment.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm okay. I'm still wearing my Mets stuff. I'm cool.
Yeah,
I'm cool. So
mediocrity.
Who's your number 2?
Number 2, I've got the Kansas City Royals.
Okay, so the Kansas City Royals, second worst team in baseball.
Yep. Pitching staff, Danny Duffy, underperforming, not an ace, not surprising. The rest of them, just some young guys. They're getting some time in right now. Salvador Perez is essentially your only bright spot on the team. He's one of the best catchers in baseball, but it's wasted right now in Kansas City. Farm system could be good if they would have made the trades they needed to last year, but that didn't happen. And yeah, the team they have up right now just isn't good at all. Yeah. I mean, they got rid of Moustakas at the deadline. Perez is probably going to have to, if the Royals want to contend in the next 10 years, Perez is going to have to go at some point in the trade. So it's going to 10 years. We called it.
Yeah.
The last year, we freaking called it.
Yeah,
but
we did with their lack of aggressiveness at the trade deadline, not getting rid of their star players at the time. Yep, we did call it. I wish I had an archive, just like I could search certain sound bites, like penalty box, Royals collapse, and then like boom, the sound bite would be right there.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. Number 2, I got the Baltimore Orioles. 4.97 team ERA, 1.5 walks and hits per innings pitched, and 27th in batting average. That's a recipe for disaster. If you bring runs in and then you can't get anybody on base on the offensive side, you're going to lose. You're going to lose those ball games 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10.
Yeah,
I don't know.
These are facts.
I'm not in economics, so I'm guessing your number 1 worst team is the Orioles.
Yeah.
Okay, mine's the Royals for basically the same reasons that you were saying. Their pitching is dreadful. They are dead last in every major pitching category. They are last in runs scored, and they are 27th in on-base plus slugging. It's not good.
No.
So I have the Royals.
It's 1A, 1B, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're both the same.
You already explained the Royals in detail why they're bad. I didn't really describe the Orioles maybe as well as I probably should have. I yelled out some stats and how they don't have a recipe for success. But let's dive into the mind of a numbers guy, a true numbers guy on why the Orioles are in the state that they're in.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
You're the sabermetrics guy.
I don't have the sabermetrics up now. I just have depth chart.
Okay.
It's tough because Baltimore heading in didn't actually have a bad team. At the time they had Machado, Jonathan Scope, who was coming off a 30 home run season. You had Mark Trumbo, who was coming off of a rough year after his 2015 season was pretty good, or 2016 season was pretty good. 2017 for Trumbo was a little rough, but people were hoping he'd turn it around. In the rotation, you had Dylan Bundy, Kevin Gauman, and Andrew Kashner, and Alex Cobb, which doesn't stand a chance to win in a division like the AL East, but enough to be competitive. Tim Beckham had a career year last year after he got traded from Tampa. It looked like a team that was going to finish probably third in the division, but it just collapsed. And the window was closing anyway. This was probably the last year they had to compete, regardless of how good Machado was doing and Scope. The pitching staff just hasn't been there since that window opened. And now with the offense gone, the entire organization seems to be going with it. So that was the MLB Flower rankings. It feels good to talk about why the Mets are bad. It's a sense of closure. It's like counseling in a way. A support group. Okay.
So yeah, it feels good. It's liberating. All right. Well, we're going to take our first music break Coming up, we're going to have some NFL talk and college football talk. This is the third and final installment of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows, and we will be back after this. And welcome back, everyone, to the third and final installment of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows. And we are going to talk about some NFL football. You ready, Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah, and before we start, that was I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly, Dance Macabre by Ghost, When Legends Rise by Godsmack, and Memories with Weezer featuring the cast of Jackass 3D. Hits the feels, man. It's nostalgia, man. All right, NFL talk. Who do you think had the best Hall of Fame induction speech?
Well, I didn't watch either. None. Not a dang one of them.
You didn't watch what? They have the full ones on YouTube.
Yeah, but I don't have interest in watching grown men cry on stage.
Based
See,
on what you heard.
Exactly. That's like I have the same control for all groups. I'm going T.O. Simply for the fact that he wasn't there.
That's pretty gangster.
Yeah. I mean, they did do him dirty. He's like top 3 receiver of all time.
Yeah,
they didn't put him in.
If Randy Moss goes in first ballot, why doesn't T.O.?
Yeah,
that's kind
sour
of
grapes.
Yeah.
I don't blame T.O. for wanting to do his own thing down Chattanooga.
I thought that was pretty cool. Randy Moss's speech was good though. It was heartfelt. Shout out to his homies in West Virginia. That was pretty cool. Jerry Kramer's. It's been like 30 years coming, but he finally made it. And his was just, it was some wisdom. It wasn't the most emotional. It wasn't gripping like Randy Moss's or Ray Lewis's, which I'll talk about here pretty soon. But I mean, it was just it's one of those things like finally, like a movie that has been in the works for like 10 years is finally released. It's like The Incredibles 2 for some people. Once it was released, they're just like, finally. It's kind of like that with Jerry Kramer. Finally, he's a Hall of Famer. It's been a long time coming. When Vince Lombardi says that you're the best football player he's ever seen, you should be first ballot Hall of Famer just right off the bat.
Yeah,
but
I would say
it's taken him quite a while.
Yeah, hindsight.
But finally he's in. And you didn't watch Ray Lewis. You haven't watched any speeches.
Not one.
Ray Lewis's was good. He kind of teetered off into a little bit of a political way, and I was like, oh, come on, bring it back, Ray Lewis. Come on. So he did. He brought it back. He talked about his family, his upbringing, what the young people need, and it was good. It's one of those speeches that you just kind of sit back and you're just like, yep. Come on now, Ray. Don't tease me now, Ray. Come on now. Come on. It was one of those speeches. It was good. It was wholesome. Kind of a few things he said I didn't quite agree with when it comes to politically, but this isn't a political show. It was a good speech, and you knew that he was about to own the stage because he had that mic piece right here, he didn't need no podium.
He was gonna move.
Yeah, he was moving. He had a towel, so you're like, yeah, he's going up there to preach. He's going up there he's got something to say. So that was good. That was a nice little speech to watch. But let's talk about current NFL players right now. Which player is the biggest question mark coming into the regular season?
Got Odell
Beckham. Okay.
Yeah. Rumor is talks between him and the Giants contract extension are heating up. I don't know if I still believe he'll sign an extension in New York. I think it's a bad decision on the Giants' part to commit. He's coming off an ACL injury. He hasn't even stepped on the field yet since that. We see ACL injuries do linger for some players, and especially someone as electric as Odell. It's hard to imagine that it doesn't hamper his abilities, at least in some way, at least for just this year, too. So, and also his attitude it's toxic, especially in an organization where Eli Manning is your starting quarterback and Saquon is your starting running back. Those guys have no personalities. And you've got Odell who's got enough personality for 3 people.
Yeah.
That I think it's going to cause some problems this year, and I don't have any confidence for the Giants. We'll talk about who's last in each division coming up, but Odell with the injury, with the contract extension, with his personality, it's a lot to figure out.
Yeah. The biggest question mark for me is also a Giant, but it's Eli Manning. 37 years old. I saw an article saying that he's the most fit 37-year-old in the NFL. I'm like, well, how many are there? How many 37-year-olds are there in the NFL? 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions last year. A quarterback rating of 80, which is basically he got a B for last season. You have Odell and how he can be a real pain in the tush in the locker room most of the time. You have Saquon Barkley now. I'm just worried that he won't contribute to the offense. He's going to hinder Saquon Barkley's development. He's going to make Odell even more mad than he already is. I mean, he just always seems like an angry person, and it's just going to make their season even worse. So I'm just worried about what Eli Manning will do, not necessarily leadership-wise. We know how good of a leader he can be, but it's just on the field, can he contribute by feeding the ball to Saquon Barkley, calling the right plays, giving it to Odell as much as he pleases, which is most of the time. And you have Ingram as their tight end. How is he going to be able to get those three into the offense? And somebody like him who's been roller coaster up and down for most of his career, I'm just worried about which Eli Manning really will show up. So that's kind of a question mark for me. So I guess the Giants are just the biggest question mark coming into the season.
Yeah.
Way to contribute. Nice contribution.
I talked about the Giants already.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Top 5 preseason power rankings. The 5 best teams in the NFL. Who do you have at your number 5?
Well, my 1 through 4 I'm pretty confident in. My number 5 spot, not as much, but I'm gonna take a shot and say the Texans.
Wow. Man, you were really throwing your chips in for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's just based off what I saw last year. He only played 7 games. We talked about it last week. And we talked about it a lot last year. But when he was in that lineup, given that he didn't even start at the beginning of the year, Tom Savage did, and they looked like a trash team. Mm-hmm. Once Deshaun came in, and after a couple weeks, it seemed like this was a team destined for the playoffs. Like, there were no questions. But then he got hurt, and we saw them go back to their old ways. But I think Deshaun just sparked something inside of that system to where everyone just kind of benefits from him being in the lineup and under center. Defense is really good, too. They signed Tyrann Mathieu, and J.J. Watt comes back, and Jadeveon Clowney's playing on a contract year.
Whitney Merciless, best last name in football.
Yeah, he's a contributor.
Yeah, he's a good contributor.
They got that defense is still really strong. Deshaun comes back and plays all 16. They've got a good backfield. They've got the receivers in Hopkins and Will Fuller. Team could go places.
And their tight end, I can never remember the tight end's name, but he's underrated. I can't remember his name. Starting Texans tight end.
CJ Fedorowicz?
Yeah. We believe in you. So my number 5, I have the Saints. Their defense is finally playing well. It's not elite, but their offense is. Of course, I'm going to believe in Drew Brees. I don't know how old he is. I don't know if he's older than Eli or younger, but I don't necessarily believe in Eli, but we know Drew Brees can get it done. There's no roller coaster for Drew Brees. He's always consistent, always gets the job done, and their backfield is lethal. Alvin Kamara's got a year under his belt, which is scary to think because he had an absolutely unreal rookie year. Mark Ingram is finally playing up to snuff. So I have the Saints. I have the Saints at my number 5. They look strong. They look scary in that division.
Yeah, they'll be there. They'll be competing, even though Mark Ingram's suspended for the first 4 games.
They got Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, but what made them deadly last year was having 2 running backs.
Okay.
For the first 4 games, you got 1.
It shall be done. Thy will be done. Patriots made it to the Super Bowl after Tom Brady was suspended.
Oh yeah, but let's hold the reins.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Let's hold the reins.
I'm just saying. Who's your number 4?
Number 4, I've got the Eagles.
The Eagles. Ooh, wow, way far back.
Yeah. They're still Super Bowl team. They have about as good a chance as anyone has in the past of repeating as Super Bowl champs. I think a lot of it just came down to they had the momentum at the end of last year somehow. They caught fire with Nick Foles, and they took it all the way. It's hard to go back-to-back in this league if you're not, Tom Brady, just to get to back-to-back, not to mention to win. There's a new team in the NFC they'll have to compete with. I'll get to that here in a little bit. And, I think they'll probably make the conference championship based on the team they have now. But I don't think they're a top 3 team.
Wow, that's surprising. I have the Steelers at my number 4. Defense is good. Offense is good. You got the best running back in the league. You got the best receiver in the league. You got a playmaker in Roethlisberger who's been reliable these past few years, even with his injuries. I wonder how many injuries he gets a year. That'd be interesting. He breaks down more than a
Big Ben?
And yeah,
because he's huge.
Yeah, he breaks down more than an 87 Chevy. So yeah, I got the Steelers at my number 4. Not a whole lot of argument to that. Who's your number 3 for top 5 preseason power rankings in the NFL?
Number 3, I got the Patriots.
Okay, I have the Patriots at number 3 as well.
Tom Brady, as long as he's in the lineup, it's a top 5 team at least. This could be his last year, so he's going to have a lot to prove. Belichick, same thing. I think this could be his last year as well. Without Wes Welker and Gronkowski being hurt a lot, looks like this offense could take a huge dip. Also, they lost Deion Lewis, Brandon Cooks, Nate Soldier on that offense as well. So they got some pieces to find in order to most likely make it back to the Super Bowl. But it's Tom Brady, so I'm not going to doubt it anymore.
Yeah. We didn't do top 5 preseason power rankings last year, and if we did, I don't remember. But I think probably I would have put the Patriots at 5 or 6. I put them at number 3. Yeah, they have key losses, but they still have Brady, they still have Belichick, so they're still one of the best teams in the NFL. Your number 2.
Number 2, I've got the Steelers.
Okay, you got the Steelers.
It's the best offense in football. Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and Juju Smith-Schuster is the best receiving duo I can remember for a while. And then in the backfield, you got the best running back in the league, Le'Veon Bell. Defense, it's not as strong as some of the other teams like Jacksonville or Minnesota, but they made it work last year. Mm-hmm. They got to that game against Jacksonville, and the defense did fail them in that game. But I think that offense is just too good it's just too good not to be in the top 2, I think, this year. I think, with Le'Veon Bell's contract situation, he's going to have a lot to prove. Big Ben needs to prove that he's still a top quarterback. Yeah, and the thing with the Steelers' defense, it's not – I mean, it's good. It's not very good, and it's not bad. It just makes plays when it has to. I mean, we witnessed it firsthand at that Chiefs game. It seemed like they were making plays all the time because the Chiefs had like -3 yards at the end of the first half. But, they just make plays when they have to. So, yeah, I mean, number 2 is okay. Not much of a gripe about that one. My number 2 is the Rams. I never thought I'd say this for a while now. I never thought I'd say that the Rams are the second best team in the NFL. But it was this offseason was probably really hard for Sean McVay. How do you follow up this season or the last season that you had that was spectacular? And the offseason acquisitions they made were fantastic because they didn't just jumble a whole bunch of pieces together and expect them to work in one season. They already had a working defense. They already had a dominating defense. They're just putting some new shiny parts there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And their offense is amazing. Todd Gurley, arguably the best. It's between him and Le'Veon Bell. Goff will prosper. So, yeah, the Rams, they're going to be the most exciting team to watch, I think, this year. The Rams will be. So, your number 1, is it the Rams? Yeah. Okay. It's also care to elaborate, Mr. Smith? Oh, you covered it. Well, yeah, the defense is stacked. Ndamukong Suh, Marcus Peters, and Aqib Talib join Aaron Donald and company. And then on the offensive side, you have Brandon Cooks replacing Sammy Watkins with one of the best running backs in Todd Gurley and an emerging star in Jared Goff. So, yeah, naturally, you have the combination of a 13-3 team who adds, 15 Pro Bowls combined to their team. Mm-hmm. It's a recipe for success. At least, I don't know if it's going to be Super Bowl. That's who my favorite is right now, but it's definitely a playoff team.
All right, my number one is the Eagles. Just because, they're Super Bowl champs. But they didn't lose a whole lot. They lost maybe a couple of role players that made some memorable plays in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of hard to go against them. They won the Super Bowl last season, and they didn't lose anything in the offseason. So that's why they're my number one. It's close between them and the Rams, but I got to go with my gut. I got to trust the gut. It's a big gut that's saying, Eagles are number one. Let's give credit where credit's due. They did good this offseason. They did good last season, obviously. Reached the pinnacle. Eagles are my number one. So let's move on from dominant NFL teams to mediocrity. A common theme here at the Penalty Box Sports Show.
Yeah, at least today it is.
Who will finish dead last in each division? First, let's start with the AFC East.
Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins. It's Dolphins.
They're the only team in the division without a quarterback, or at least someone who has a little bit of promise at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Tannehill's come back from an ACL injury. He's had ACL injuries in the past. And still, even if he was fully healthy, I don't know if he's even better than where he is now. He's probably still the fourth best quarterback if he's healthy. Mm-hmm. So, and they lost Ndamukong Suh. They're having, public issues with the anthem and whatnot. So, disaster season for Miami, just like last year, because, they signed Jay Cutler. They're cursed until he signs with a new team.
Their new uniforms are cool, though. They're cool.
They may sell 25.
Maybe. Does that mean they're on sale? All right, AFC North. Who do you have finishing dead last?
You didn't tell me who you had.
I had the Dolphins. I had the Dolphins.
I got Bengals.
I have the Bengals also.
This shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, I think with a lot of people, why not the Browns? The Browns have more promise than the Bengals do. I don't believe in Andy Dalton anymore.
No.
Their defense is, it's still good, but it's getting old. It's getting a little worn out, and especially having to go up against the Steelers, and maybe the Ravens will have some promise. You're going to have to go up against the Browns, who will have at least a fast, young offense. And their offense, you have one of the best wide receivers in the league, and you're still considered one of the worst in the division. That's bad. A.J. Green, I hope, moves on to greener pastures soon. But the Bengals easily the worst team in the AFC North, I think, this season, because the Browns they'll win games. They won't be grand, or they won't be a playoff team, but they'll win more than the Bengals, I'm sure. So AFC South, who do you have finishing last?
I got the Titans.
Ooh, the Titans.
I just don't like the Titans. I don't think Mariota's really a quarterback that late in games can come back and be a star quarterback like he was drafted to be. And, you look at the rest of the division. The Colts, Andrew Luck comes back, and Andrew Luck hasn't lost more than 6 games in a season since he started. So I'm taking the Colts over the Titans, and then the Jaguars, who have one of the best defenses in football, won the division last year. I'm not picking them last. And the Texans, who I think will win the division. It's a tough division, but I'm taking the Titans last.
I've got the Colts finishing last. Their defense is poor. It's bad. They didn't fix it in the draft. They didn't fix it in the offseason. I think no amount of Andrew Luck can fix that. So I got the Colts finishing last. I think the Titans aren't going to do well. But maybe the Colts and the Titans tie for third place, which is basically you're both tied for last. But, Colts winning 5 games maybe because their defense is just that bad. I do like Andrew Luck, though, and I feel bad for him. I pity him.
Yeah. So it's still not a good situation.
Yeah. AFC West.
Got Oakland.
Yep, I also have Oakland finishing dead last. At least with the Broncos, they're going to have a good defense. The Chargers are going to get it done. They're going to win some ball games. If they go 9-7, that sounds about right. If not, if they don't do better, I think the Chiefs will win the division. I think they'll win 12 games probably. I believe in Pat Mahomes. I think that he'll make some big plays. He's got plenty of weapons around him. But with the Raiders, nothing. Which I feel bad because I'm a huge Marshawn Lynch fan, and I know what he was trying to do to bring some pride back to Oakland, going back to his hometown, but that didn't work.
No. Yeah, the defense, the secondary is really weak. Didn't have an interception last year until like week 13. The offense with Derek Carr, he's not terrible, but the running game, it hasn't been consistent. Receivers drop the balls constantly. Crabtree last year, even though he's not there anymore. Amari Cooper is supposed to be a top 10 receiver, dropped a ton of balls last year. Didn't help him out. And now with John Gruden in, apparently he hasn't even talked with Khalil Mack since he showed up, and once he was hired, hasn't spoken a word to him, which is weird considering, he's your franchise player. But it could be, like Colin Cowherd said, a dumpster fire this year in Oakland. But they very well could win 8 games if John Gruden can get it figured out. It's just it's old school style of coaching just kind of takes kids back a little.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely John Gruden's style. It's definitely not something they've seen probably.
Yeah, and with John Gruden, I mean, if the Raiders do finish dead last, it's not his fault. I mean, he's kind of gotten this turd sandwich dumped in his lap.
That's not a turd sandwich, though. 2 years ago, they were one of the best teams in the AFC.
We're talking about them finishing dead last, though. It could, like you said, it could be a dumpster fire.
It could be. It's got the makings of one.
So, yeah, I mean, it won't be his fault unless they don't win a game at all. But, yeah, I mean, it's just an adjustment period for Oakland. They got Gruden now. He'll want to bring in players that he'll know will perform for him. It's not Gruden ball yet. Not yet. But it's getting there. NFC East, who's finishing dead last?
Giants.
The Giants?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm not going to explain it. I explained it with
okay,
Odell.
Yeah, okay. I have the Redskins finishing dead last just because they don't have much in terms of playmakers. Yeah, they have Alex Smith. Alex Smith had a career year last year, and he should be applauded for it, but he's not a playmaking quarterback. And, I mean, they just don't look that good on paper. They don't look like they'll be able to put up a whole lot of points. Their average loss may be something like 24-10. I'm not so sure about their defense. I don't know if their defense is bad or not, but they just seem like that team that will just be coming up short every single week. I mean, they just don't impress me when I look at them on paper. So I have the Redskins finishing dead last in the NFC East. NFC North.
Got the Bears.
You got the Bears. You got my Bears finishing dead last.
Are you going to say anyone else?
I got the Lions.
I mean, the Bears improved in the receiving core, but like I said, still Trubisky's given us nothing to think that he's going to be.
He's with Matt Nagy now.
Yeah,
you expect a quarterback to perform well under John Fox.
No, but has he given us anything to prove? He didn't give us anything in college. He gave us 13 games in college.
Hey.
And then gave us not good football last year.
An okay season being under John Fox.
That's
a quarterback's worst
as
nightmare.
The number 2 pick.
And now he's got Jordan Howard. He's got Tariq Cohen. He's got Allen Robinson.
He's got
He's got your boy Andrew. He's got your boy Andrew Miller.
Yeah, and Anthony.
Or Anthony Miller. Excuse me, Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller.
Yeah, you ruined that. Nice.
I did. I
to get
ruined
some
the
brownie
hot take.
points. Try to get some brownie points.
But yeah, your boy Anthony Miller.
But Trubisky's given us nothing to believe that he's going to be a 10-year starter. Not a single bit.
I disagree.
And the defense, I mean, it's okay, but
it's good.
But is Matt Nagy going to be a defensive-minded coach?
No.
Because John Fox, that defense wasn't terrible.
Everyone on the Bears coaching staff was fired except for the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. He's still there.
Yeah, because that defense
was good.
But I'm looking at it. They're definitely not going to finish in front of the Green Bay or Minnesota. And Detroit.
I don't know. I don't know.
God,
no, they're not. Minnesota's winning the division. Green Bay, I'm not sure.
Finishing in front of Green Bay.
I find that
Aaron Rodgers, you could throw on the Browns,
but
and
he'll make it
to the playoffs.
The defense looks terrible on Green Bay.
And Chicago's looks that much better?
Yes, it does.
You
put the stats side by side.
Oh, my God. Hold up. No.
Put the stats side by side.
No, I'm going to shut you down
season.
real quick. You think the gap between the Packers and Bears defense is as big of a gap as Aaron Rodgers to Trubisky?
I don't understand the question.
So you're saying the Bears defense is better than the Packers defense?
Yeah.
Which it very well may be. But the gap between the two teams and their defenses, are you saying that's greater than the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Mitch Trubisky?
No.
Okay, exactly.
No, I'm just saying that
the difference at quarterback is so stark
Of course it is. It's Aaron Rodgers. I'll agree. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best players, if not the best player, in the NFL.
Okay,
But that doesn't make a hill of beans in the NFL when
How many games did the Bears win last year?
They won 5.
They won 5. In order to beat
Under
the Packers,
John Fox,
in order to beat the Packers, you're
going
to have to win at least 10.
How many did the Packers win last year?
They won 9.
And I'm trying to
without Aaron Rodgers. I think it was 9. It might have been
without Aaron Rodgers.
Without Aaron Rodgers for 7 weeks.
I'm trying
to. They
to find...
still fought for a playoff spot until the second to last week of the year.
See, that's the thing. You act like this is college football. Like defense doesn't make any difference.
It does. But
and the Packers' defense is horrible.
The gap between Green Bay and Minnesota, the two best in the division, Green Bay and Minnesota, and Detroit and Chicago, is very great.
I can't find Green Bay's defensive stats right now since I'm in the middle of an argument. But I think the Bears' front 7 better than the Packers. I don't know about the secondary, but I would still take the Chicago secondary over the Packers. I don't care if Clinton Dix is on there.
Okay, so you're saying let's say the Bears have the 20th best defense in the league, and the Packers have the 21st.
It's not the 20th. They're not that bad. They were good last year.
You're talking like 12th then, huh? Talking about
maybe
middle of the league.
Maybe.
And Green Bay's
That's
near the
pretty
bottom.
good.
Okay. Green Bay's near the bottom. Fine. But you have the number 1 quarterback, and you have the number 30 quarterback.
Not the number 30
makes a
quarterback.
difference.
Not the number 30 quarterback.
It makes a difference.
No. You believe in Aaron Rodgers way too
what
much.
Do you mean? At what point have we not, like...
You're saying that Aaron Rodgers will single-handedly carry a team to a 10-win year.
He single-handedly carried him to a Super Bowl win. Yeah,
no, they had a defense.
They had a
defense.
No,
they had Clay Matthews, AJ Hawk, BJ Raji.
I absolutely believe that Aaron Rodgers can win 10 games this year.
No, I don't think so.
100.
And again, I'm not
saying
that the Bears will surpass the Packers in the division. I'm not saying that the Bears will beat the Packers in the division. I'm just saying you are putting way too much into the Packers.
The Bears are going to go
4-2. They'll pass the Bears.
The Packers are going to go 4-2 in the division. They'll lose 1 to Detroit and 1 Minnesota. They'll sweep the Bears. They'll win 12.
No,
they'll be a 3 seed.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm not saying that the Bears are going to finish better than the Packers. I'm just saying you're making it too much of a shoe-in. Too much of a shoe-in. They got a great offensive play caller in Matt Nagy. They got Trubisky. They got Jordan Howard. They got Tariq Cohen. All of these offensive weapons and a decent defense that probably will get better this year.
According to this...
I think the Bears will be in for the fight.
According to this power ranking on NFL.com, Packers are 8th. 8th.
Because of Aaron Rodgers. They're doing
Bears
the same thing.
24th.
They're doing the same thing that you're doing.
The Bears are 24th.
And again, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to say that, the Packers or the Bears are going to beat the Packers in the division. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying you're making it seem like it is just a definitive, yes. Because all they have is Aaron Rodgers. They don't have a defense. They don't. They don't even have an offensive line. That's why Aaron Rodgers got hurt last year. So the Bears front 7 up against, and the Vikings front 7.
See, but
let's talk about the Vikings against.
You're talking about how this Bears team is suddenly going to go from bottom of the division to not in the bottom, ahead of Green Bay and Detroit.
No, I'm not saying they're going to finish ahead of Green Bay.
You're saying, but you're leaving the possibility open.
Yes, I'm leaving the possibility open.
And I think that's asinine.
No,
and the only things they added were they got Roquan, who they got to sign.
Yeah,
and then they got Allen Robinson, who, if he comes back healthy, he's a decent receiver, but we haven't seen that in a couple years. And then they drafted Anthony Miller, who I never said he was a number 1 receiver. He's a good 2.
Oh, you made it seem like he was.
Yeah, but at the college level, it doesn't take size to be a number 1.
You were raving about him the whole time that we were talking about the draft. Who's your top draft prospect? Who's the guy who's going to be making a statement?
No,
Anthony Miller. Yes,
I said he's a sleeper. I did definitely say he's a sleeper, but I never once put him in my mock drafts ahead of Calvin Ridley. Or
Calvin Ridley's not playing for the Packers, is he?
No.
Okay. I think that
if he was playing for the Packers, he might have a top 5.
It'll finish. It will finish like this. It will be Vikings, Packers, Bears, Lions, but the Bears will just miss the Packers by a game or 2. It's not going to be definitive. It's not going to be like, the Packers and the Vikings are running away with this.
Your problem in life is you pick the underdogs, which is why you don't have a championship.
I had one in 2000.
You didn't even have a team then.
Yes, I did. I was sooner born, sooner bred, man.
No, that doesn't count. In your coherent lifetime.
Okay, maybe that's a little bit different.
In your coherent lifetime, you haven't seen one championship. And that's because you picked the Bears and the Mets.
Well, you know what?
And the Blues.
My choices may be questionable, but damn it, they're my choices.
Yeah.
But with this, I mean,
you're just taking the underdog mentality.
I'm not taking the underdog mentality. I'm not taking. I have the Vikings. I'm not saying the Bears win the division. I'm not even saying that they're going to finish ahead of the Packers in the division. But I'm saying it's going to be a lot closer than people think it's going to be. And with the Lions, the reason why I have them finishing dead last is because they have nothing in terms of running. I think Matt Patricia, that's the guy's name, right?
Yeah.
Their new head coach, I don't think he's going to get it done. I think it's going to be similar to John Fox. He's going to be a defensive-minded coach, but nothing's going to get done on offense. Even with Matt Stafford, nothing's going to get done.
You've just got unrealistic expectations.
No, I don't.
Overly optimistic.
Well, shoot me.
Hey, I'm not saying I won't say I'm wrong if Trubisky does prove that he can be a quarterback. I said that last year about Goff. I ate my words about Goff. I'll do it about Trubisky if he shows me, but
right.
don't think for a second first 4 weeks he struggles. I'm not going to be on his back.
He's not going to struggle. He's not. He's going to give the Packers a run for their money for second in the division. I'm calling it right now. NFC South, who do you have finishing last?
Bucks.
I have the Bucks too.
I don't think that's even a question.
NFC West.
I got the Seahawks.
Ooh, I got the Cardinals.
I'm definitely not picking the Rams or 49ers.
Yes.
Cardinals, I think Josh Rosen was a steal. He's coming in real quiet in Arizona. Not big market where his big head personality will get in the way. There's really no competition either. It's not like Bradford's the future quarterback anyway. There's not a whole lot of title hopes for Arizona, so they're going to throw Rosen in at some point this year, and I think he'll do really well. I think Seattle is a dumpster fire already. I mean, we talked about Oakland might be. Seattle's already there. Earl Thomas wants out. Earl Thomas leaves, and that entire Legion of Boom's gone. Mm-hmm. And that defense is a shell. They already don't have a good offensive line. They already don't have a real good receiving core. Their running backs suck. They reached for one this year. It just looks like Pete Carroll could have 2 more years done before he's back in college.
Yeah. I guess now that you say it, it could go either way with the Seahawks or the Cardinals. Let's move on to college football. Turn your page. Turn to page 3 of the penalty box gospel.
Verse 3, college football talk.
Who has the best uniforms in college football?
Well, I don't like talking about uniforms, but I have Michigan.
Come on, have a little fun.
I like
Good Lord.
Michigan, Bama, Notre Dame.
I like Virginia's. Have you seen them?
No.
Ooh, nice, crisp, clean, simple.
I just gave you Michigan, Bama, Notre Dame.
But Virginia's, you got to look. It's a color combination, man. Navy blue, orange, and white. Ooh, that's good, especially for a team like Virginia.
Nah, blue and maize.
No,
blue and maize.
I mean, you're on the right track. It's just I think you missed a little bit. Virginia's got the best. Like I think that the best uniforms in the NFL are the Bills. Now this is a throwback helmet, but their new helmets are pretty much the same thing. I like the white. I like the white helmet and the blue, and orange is similar to red. So it's kind of like this. Kind of looks like this. I like this look. It's nice and hard nosed, nice and classic looking. You know what I'm saying?
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for show and tell on the penalty box.
I got this when I was 14. So yeah, that was just a little visual representation of the similarities with the Bills and Virginia's uniforms and why I like it. Do you still consider the SEC to be the best conference in college football?
I do. The styles are different in each conference, and it's really hard to really determine who's the best. Big Ten probably has the best defense. Pac-12 probably has the most explosive playmakers. Big 12 has god-awful defenses. And the SEC has 5-star recruits.
Fast point-scoring offenses in the Big 12.
Yeah. But, I mean, all the 5-star. I mean, with Bama and the SEC, Bama's won half the national championships in the last 9 years, 10 years. So, really, just Bama alone makes it the best conference.
Yeah, I think in terms, like you look at the recruiting last year, SEC still dominated.
Yeah, LSU, Tennessee, Florida, they still get the recruits.
Yeah. So I think in that sense, yeah, they're still the most or the best conference in college football. So.
It's just so damn good top to bottom that it's a fight every week.
Yeah. Which team will play above expectations this season?
Above expectations, I have 3.
Oh, wow.
I've got Michigan.
Okay.
People have them outside of the top 10. I've got them as my national champion. Florida State coming back after a brutal season.
Yeah, that was
in
bad.
which I had
That's
hopes.
hard. That's hard to watch.
I was hoping they'd come back at some point, but nope. They lost Jimbo Fisher. They got Kevin Sumlin, right? Pretty sure Kevin Sumlin signed in. No, wait, no. Who did Florida State get? Oh, Willie McTaggart.
Oh, yeah. That's
McTaggart. Out of Oregon. That's going to change the offense a lot. DeAndre Francois comes back. Get Blackman out of there.
He did okay towards the end of the
Oh,
year.
don't even.
He did okay.
Don't even.
He's no DeAndre Francois. I'm just saying, he did all right.
No, he
all
was
right.
not.
He did all right.
I watched those games on purpose to
On
see
purpose.
if Blackman would develop.
For this very moment
To
right
watch
now,
and see if
to
he
diss
was
him.
going to get better. And
Okay.
he never did.
Okay.
I watched that Miami game. I was
You're
disgusted.
dumbfounded.
But, yeah, it's really nowhere to go but up for the once national champions. And then my third team, I got Texas.
Okay.
I've said it multiple times. I think Sam Ehlinger is going to take the country by storm this year. Really show some life at the old University of the Longhorns.
I have, for above expectations, I have LSU. They're not going to compete with, or they might compete, but they're not going to surpass Alabama or Georgia in that side of the SEC. But people have them finishing 7-5, 8-4. I think that they will be a 9-3, maybe 10-2. The only teams they might lose to are Alabama and Georgia. A young, fun offense, I guess, is one way to put it, with a lot of uncertainty. I guess you could say it's fun, probably because it's not my favorite team. But their defense is stout. It's an SEC defense. It only allowed 19 points per game last year. So I think that they'll be a team to watch. You know that they get to recruit, so they're going to have good athletic ability, good young athletic ability on offense. Whether they figure out how to use it, I'm not sure, but I think they'll find a way. So below expectations, who do you have?
First is Ohio State. I think the controversy is going to be too much to get around. Not saying they'll go 6-6, but they'll lose a few early on to where national championships are.
Yeah.
Their hopes are dashed quick, kind of written off. Second team, UCF.
Ooh.
Like FSU could only go up, UCF can only go down.
Yeah.
They're not going to go undefeated this year. They went 0-13. Let's not forget 0-13. What is now 3 years ago, or 0-12 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very unstable program.
Frost is gone
They
now.
lost Frost. They got new coaching. It's just all the talk of them being national championships will quickly be diminished once the season starts.
Yep. I have Oklahoma State as my team playing below expectations. Lost way too much, way too many weapons, way too many playmakers for them to compete.
No, expectations aren't high for them though.
For some people, they still have them finished in third in the Big 12. For some people, but yeah, they're not going to compete with West Virginia. They're not going to compete with even Texas or OU or teams like that. So yeah, Oklahoma State. It's going to be a transition year. They just won't be stunning, I don't think. Which I mean that's just how it goes sometimes. I guess there's peaks and there's valleys, especially in Big 12 football. Week 1 predictions. Some of the better games that will be played week 1. First is Florida Atlantic at Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Okay. Do you have it being close or
No?
Okay. Yeah, I have OU winning it. I think Florida Atlantic will be an interesting team. It's a good first game for OU, but I mean just too much firepower on offense for Florida Atlantic to keep up. Washington versus Auburn and Atlanta.
Washington.
I also have Washington, but I have Washington in overtime. It's going to be a thriller. Tennessee versus West Virginia in Charlotte.
West Virginia.
I also have West Virginia. Michigan at Notre Dame. This is going to be a good one.
Michigan.
I'm looking forward to this one. Helmets will be chipped.
Michigan.
It's going to be fun. Louisville versus Alabama and Orlando.
Alabama.
Yeah, I put that down just so people know who Bama's playing. Miami versus LSU.
Miami.
You know how I said LSU might only lose to Alabama and Georgia?
You lied.
Yeah, I lied. They're losing to Miami. But still, 9-3, that's a whole lot better and surpassing some of the expectations that some people have on them. Virginia Tech at Florida State.
Taking Florida State.
I have Virginia Tech.
I think Virginia Tech's a little overrated.
I think that Florida State will be rocking. But Virginia Tech, they lost a pretty good defensive playmaker. But what's his name? Josh Jackson is his name, a quarterback. He's got a year under his belt. He's going to be the next big playmaker in the ACC. Whether that happens this year or next year, I'm not sure. But I think he'll be able to outgun Florida State, who also lost a lot of defensive prospects. So I think that will be an interesting one, too. So I got Virginia Tech.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take our second and final music break. Coming up, we're going to have Vinegar Trivia once again. Here's some tasty tunes from ABBA, Future, Elton John, and Corrosion of Conformity. This is the third and final installment of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows, and we'll be back right after this.
Super Trooper beams are gonna
You're looking at the real deal now. Gonna kick this sorry ass out on the street.
And welcome back, everyone, to the third and final installment of the Penalty Box Sports Shows, or the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows. It is now time for Vinegar Trivia. Ryan will give me 3 fair sports trivia questions, and if I get it wrong, I take a shot of vinegar through my exclusive Rowdy Roddy Piper shot glass.
Exclusive to
TJ Maxx.
Yep.
Piper's Pit.
Nothing at TJ Maxx is exclusive to TJ Maxx.
You know what I'm
That's kind of the thing about the store.
You know what? But
it's all secondhand.
Since it's since it is our final show,
falling apart.
Since it is the final show, I'm going to up the ante. I'm going to add just a little bit of Tabasco sauce. I did think about putting the iguana en fuego sauce, but I got to help tear down. Put all this equipment away. I couldn't do that last time because my mouth was hurting. So, if I'll add a couple of drops of Tabasco, it will be a nice cocktail from hell, I guess, or maybe purgatory. Tabasco's not that bad. It's uncomfortable, and it's not something that should be ingested directly, but it's just
Yeah.
So all
I'm
right,
not the one drinking it. So
number 1 for Vinegar Trivia.
All right. So 4 MLB teams haven't won a World Series. Name those 4.
Rays.
It's 1.
Padres. Padres have won a series?
Yep, they sure have.
Oh, son of a bee sting. When did they win the World Series? Wait, who are the teams? I could look up when they won later.
We have the Rays. We have the Rockies. Made it in 2007. Didn't win. Mariners. And Nats.
Son of a bee sting. Sorry I doubted you, Padres. Sorry.
All right. I'm telling you, that's a guaranteed 2 shots.
A what?
You're probably guaranteed to be taking 2 shots.
Is the next one a tricky one?
Not the next one. The third one.
Okay. Is that enough Tabasco?
I guess. Yeah, since it's straight vinegar with it. If it was water, no.
But, All right, so just put in the Tabasco. Now the vinegar. Why do I put myself through this? This was my idea.
Yeah, and you kind of got lucky last week.
I did. Okay. So, sorry, Padres. Sorry, Tony Gwynn. This is my punishment.
Sorry, Bells. That's who you need to be apologizing to.
Woo-wee. All right, next one.
That's tasty stuff. All right. What and who is given, not what and who is given the Vezina Trophy?
Oh, that's the best. The best goalie or the goalie with the lowest goals against average.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best goalie. All right, 1 for 1. All right, this third one is your final one if you miss it. If you don't miss it, then I'm going to find another one.
Damn it.
Fort Hays State put their first football team on the field in what year?
1934.
1902.
Jesus.
Yes.
Good job, 4 days. Way to represent the Tigers well. I did not know that. Good Lord.
1902.
Okay. All right. I guess, yeah. Sorry, Fort Hayes. Sorry, Bells again. Sorry.
Sorry, Dad.
Sorry, Victory Tiger.
I mean, there's a lot of people you could be apologizing to.
All right.
For this display.
All right. Cheers. You want one?
Oh, you know what? I'll pass.
All right. Well, hold on. I need some water. It's sticking to my tongue. All right. So, sorry, Padres. Sorry, Fort Hayes again. I think I paid my dues on that one, though.
Yeah.
And that'll conclude the third and final installment of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows. Thank you to all who have listened and watched on the Tiger Media Network's YouTube page, which you'll be able to catch this one tomorrow at some point, tomorrow afternoon. Thank you to all who helped, all who produced, all who edited, all who set up, and everyone who contributed to the show. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan, for coming in on your own time, volunteering your time and effort into the show over the summer.
Into trashing your teams?
Yeah.
Anytime.
And we will be back during the semester, though, for our regular Penalty Box shows. They will probably not be filmed because I'm tired of taking vinegar shots. All right.
Only take 2.
For Ryan Sabata, I'm Boomer Sabata, saying goodbye and have a great remainder of the summer.